What up, guys? I was even debating whether to do this video or not, just because it's like there's not really anything new or anything that anybody hasn't seen going down. I mean, at this point, if you're getting Iceborne, you've definitely seen this footage. But there's also not a lot going on in World, so I thought, fuck it. It's just another excuse to talk more about Monster Hunter. So I'm just going to touch on a few points throughout this that I thought were interesting and kind of just go from there, and yeah. All right, yeah, let's dive right in. So they basically just spend a bunch of time talking about how relaxing being in a sauna is, and then the trailer finally starts. And it's just so cool to officially see Glavine in the game. I mean, yeah, he's an older monster, but he's new to World, so that makes him new. And I'm not super familiar with him because I hunted him a few times in Generations, but Generations really wasn't my cup of tea, so I ended up putting it down. And I'll get back to Glavine a little later when they do the monster breakdowns, but one thing I was really happy about with the new Gathering Hall is the fact that there's going to be so many people now, and it's big, so you'll actually see people running around and sharpening their weapons, or, you know, stopping by some place to deal with their farm, and be able to actually kind of see people going about their Monster Hunter lives, as opposed to just only ever seeing them in like a quest-giving area, accepting a quest or not. So that's definitely one of the little things that I was getting pretty excited for watching this. Like all the room furniture stuff, I mean, they kind of did something similar in 3 and 3 Ultimate, but I mean, that's neither here nor there for me. It's fine that it's in, but it's nothing I'm super crazy about. And now the trailer starts getting back to a little bit of action, and we see Glavine pop up here in just a second. I mean, one of the little things that I love is that, I mean, you can see him right here. He actually brings some color back into the game. And then, of course, it goes through all the new monsters. That Evany Odegaron looks awesome. The new Anjanath looks awesome. So I've been pretty stoked on everything that they've shown so far. I was like, all right, this looks like it's shaping up to be quite the monster roster. And then, of course, the coolest thing was the essential confirmation of Bracky, which is going to be so awesome. One of my favorite fights in the series. Very happy that he's making it into World. I just can't imagine how awesome he's going to look. And then here we get into some of the interesting stuff. I just cut out the bits that I cared about. Like, I don't care that you can take your armor off and get into the water. That's like neither here nor there for me. This, though, the accessibility of being able to get to the smithy, the farm, all that stuff from the Gathering Hall, not having to go through a loading screen, that's what's awesome. And then I skipped past the stuff about the guild cards or the squad cards. I was like, it just sounds like another guild card to me. We'll see how it works. But the balanced difficulty was pretty cool. I like this idea because it'll encourage duo play, which I didn't really do a lot of in World. Just always felt like you were taking the largest handicap, going 2 people on a quest meant for 4. I mean, yeah, it was a little bit more of a challenge, so it was fun sometimes, but it's not something I ever wanted to regularly do, and it was a super inefficient way. If you were just like farming for materials, you were way better off either soloing or going with a full group. But this essentially kind of gives a third option, being able to go with 2 people, which is nice because sometimes people may have difficulties getting 4 people together. So to know that the quest is geared for 2 people should make more fun hunts happen more frequently. So that's one thing I'm definitely looking forward to. And then as far as the new Palco Gadgets go, I don't really feel like they showed a lot other than the decoy and the bubble. I'm wondering if Choral Orchestra got any buffs or new moves, because that was like pretty much the only one I ever used. I mean, the fact that the Vigor Wasp can now bring you back to life should definitely help hunting with randoms. kind of can check to see if they're using that, but that should cut down on surprise carts, at least online. I don't think any experienced hunters are ever going to need that, but I could see how something like that will make the online experience much more smooth. I skipped past the multiplayer compatibility section as well because everybody I know is getting Iceborne. I think it's going to be this very small minority of players who aren't fans anyway, who aren't going to pick up Iceborne. And so I'm not really worried about playing with them ever. So that's, as someone who's getting Iceborne, it's not even a concern of mine. Then there's some of this room stuff, and I mean, once again, I feel like they kind of did something similar in Try, and I don't know. I guess I'm just neutral on it. I mean, it is nice that you can customize your room, and then they're gonna have this update in the future where people can see it. But it just feels like it's also kind of pulling time and resources into something that doesn't seem to really be related to the core of the game. Like, I'd probably rather have even a single new monster than the furniture stuff. But hey, whatever.
We really wanted to give players that added level of customization. So they're coming back to a unique room like no other.
View mode, on the other hand, definitely is awesome. I love when they put cameras like this in games. I love it in Final Fantasy XIV. Taking pictures of my characters was always fun. In Gravity Rush 2, it was tons of fun. Sharing pictures with people. It's always, especially if it's a game you love, it's always such a fun and nice feature to put in. Just basically taking screenshots with your friends or cool moments. So to give players more of the tools to do that, I always support those developer decisions. I think this was a great move.
But we also included more gestures to...
All right, now we're finally into the meat and potatoes of the video, the part that everyone really cares about. And I think they definitely surpassed my expectations. I wasn't expecting them to show off so much. But with the Fulgore Anjanath, I mean, he looks like a completely new monster. I love the tiger stripes and the electricity. It made him go back to being intimidating just from watching it. So I'm super excited for this one. I really can't get over all the little details they put on him. And it's interesting that he's Thunder Element. I mean, one of my initial worries was that we were just going to end up facing a bunch of ice monsters. So the fact that he's any element but ice is a win in my book. And during this scene, they make a little mention of how he stores up this electricity to, power his like physical attacks, and that there's going to be something the player has to do. I mean, I'm assuming just hit it a lot and then it'll lose its charge or like go out of enrage. But it would be cool if there was some kind of a mechanic, like maybe if you poison it, it weakens it, or do some kind of status ailment and that takes its charge away. So I'm hoping for something more than just beat it up really bad, because that wouldn't make it all that unique, but we'll see. And the next monster is the badass looking Evany Odogaron. This thing just looks so mean and vicious. I absolutely love it. I mean, Odogaron already was a pretty brutal looking monster, and somehow they just dialed that up to 11. Perfect that it's dragon element. The traditional like dragon element effects look amazing on it. I mean, it definitely looks like something straight out of hell. And it definitely seems pretty quick. I mean, much faster than regular Odogaron, which I guess is to be expected. I mean, not those jumps right there, because those look pretty much like the same moves, but you see this new tail swipe that he does. So that'll definitely be something new to look out for. And finally, we have Glavinus, who I'm super excited for. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't have a ton of experience fighting him. I've hunted him a few times in Generations, but Generations just wasn't my cup of tea, and I ended up getting rid of it. But I have always loved the design of this monster. The idea of the tail as a weapon is nothing new. But once again, they kind of put their own little twist on it, and he heats it up. And I like that they mentioned that he'll have new moves for World. So hopefully that means something beyond turf war animations, and something about his like fireball. But hopefully we'll see a couple new things. And I'm sure people who've played the other one will make like comparison videos. There'll be 1,000 videos. And that ends the dev diary. Basically, there's really nothing else other than release day, which of course is early September, and I'm sure everyone already knows that. But overall, I'd say I'm most excited for Bracky. That was the number one thing. And then the number two thing would be the accessibility in the guild hall, being able to access the smithy and other town functions without having to leave. So those two things definitely got me hyped. I still can't get over that Fulgor Anjanath, though. I really like how they designed him. So hopefully it's a fun fight or hunt, and also that there's some kind of a actual mechanic. I mean, I mentioned poison earlier, but maybe they could do even a particular element like water or something will, squash his thunder faster than just raw or something else. I just keep thinking about how Kushala used to lose its wind when it was poisoned, and they took that out in World, and that's always bugged me. Little things like that, those kind of mechanics that make something not used very often, like poison, kind of gave it a purpose. So hopefully we'll see some of those kinds of things brought back in World, because it definitely couldn't hurt. And I think anybody who's going into Iceborne, even as a newcomer, that wouldn't be so much of a change that it would shock them, but it would definitely add a little bit of extra depth to an already deep game. And with that, I am out. So, as usual, happy hunting.